Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say welcome to today's webinar. We're going to just we'll start in a couple minutes and let some people file in, and then we'll get started in like 2 minutes. Okay, it looks like a couple more folks joined us today, so I think we can get started. I just wanted to first say welcome and good afternoon. I am Nikki Trasmonte with the Maryland Department of Transportation, and I will be the moderator of today's webinar, where we'll maximize employer tax savings through Maryland Commuter Choice incentives. Just a PSA, the session will be recorded. We will send the link to the recording in a few days. Of course, during the webinar, if you have any questions, feel free to drop it in the chat. There is also a question box as well. And to be mindful of our time, we will address all the questions at the end of the webinar. So next slide, please. So just a quick overview of today's session. We are first going to cover the Commuter Choice Maryland program, and then we're going to dive into an employer testimonial with Holly Poultry. And then we'll get into the different tax incentives that you can take advantage of as employers. So the Federal Transportation Fringe Benefit, the Maryland Commuter Tax Credit, and our new FareShare program. And then we will cover some more employer testimonials. And then lastly, we'll have some time for discussion and Q&A. So next slide, please. So first, we want to hear from you. For everyone who is on the webinar today, please introduce yourself. You can add your name and organization in the chat. And then, thank you. And then while we have folks joining us, please feel free to introduce yourself throughout the webinar. Thank you so much. We have some folks from MDTA, Calvert County. Thank you so much. And then next slide, please. We also want to see what department you're representing as well. There will be a poll that pops up on your screen, and you can answer if you're from Human Resources, the Accounting Department, Facilities, Sustainability Green Team, or other. And it looks like there's a mix of different folks on our webinar today from different departments. Some from the Sustainability and Green Team, others from different departments at their organization. So thank you so much for supporting our program and joining our webinar. If we want to move to the next slide. We are going to just set some context about what is going on in the state of Maryland. Commuting is something all of us face every day, whether you're an employer or a commuter on the webinar. You are most likely sitting in traffic, right? It can be stressful. Owning a car is expensive to operate and maintain. And when you add congestion and environmental impacts in the mix, costs grow and some people get tired of their commute. So employers may face the cost of employee turnover. One statistic we wanted to point out is that Maryland ranks #2 in the longest work commutes. It actually increased. So it is an issue that is important for Maryland commuters today. Next slide, please. So additionally, many of you on this webinar know, especially our Maryland commuters on the webinar, since the FSK bridge collapse, many of us have faced longer work commutes that have averaged over 20 to 30 minutes extra in travel time. So next slide, please. This is going to be a TDM graphic of how congestion looks with different modes. So you can see in the first section that was for people driving alone versus people in a train or biking. This is the type of work we're doing. We're really trying to promote other modes of transportation other than driving alone. So you can see how the congestion changes depending on the different modes you take to get to work. So the next slide, please. So I just wanted to let everyone know we do have a Commuter Choice Maryland Employer Partner Program. So for any employers who are on the call who are interested, it is a free program. It's a way for us to really help you get started on expanding your commuter benefits program at your work site. So it is customized free support. We can help you with that. So if that's something you're interested in doing, we can certainly help you get started if you want to drop your email in the chat, or you can contact us directly after this webinar. The next slide, please. So in this presentation, we will review different aspects of our program. So first, we're going to talk about the different incentives employers can utilize, and then how employers can take advantage of our different programs. And then we'll hear from some of our employer partners like Holly Poultry, and we will show different examples of employer testimonials who utilize the tax credit. And then we'll go into more Commuter Choice Maryland resources. Next slide, please. So before we dive in, I'd like to introduce our guest employer speaker. Eric McGinnis is the Human Resource Director at Holly Poultry, a further processing company in Baltimore. She joined the company in 2020 and supports a workforce of more than 500 employees, most of whom work on site. Erin partners with leadership on hiring, employee relations, and day-to-day HR operations, with a focus on maintaining a strong workplace culture. So Holly Poultry continues to grow with a new retail campus in Hanover, Maryland, while the Baltimore location remains the food service campus. So I want to see if Erin would like to take it away and share about Holly Poultry's experience utilizing the tax credit. So Erin, if you're on the line, if you'd like to unmute.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for the introduction and thanks for having me today. So I am Erin McGinnis. I'm the HR director at Holly Poultry. Like Nikki said, we are a further processing
I
company
see
based in.
Erin, if you are speaking, I'm not sure if everyone can
Can you hear
hear.
me?
Yeah, we can hear Nikki.
Oh, I can hear. Okay, maybe it's my computer. Apologies.
Okay. So everyone can hear me? Okay. All right, great. Well, thank you for having me today. I'm Erin McGinnis. I'm the HR director at Holly Poultry. And like Nikki said, we are a further processing company based in Baltimore. I've been with Holly since February of 2020, and I support a workforce of little over 500 employees. Most of our workforce is hourly and on site, so reliable commuting is a big part of our daily life for our team. Just to give you a little background on what we do, like I said, we are a further processing company based in Baltimore. Our Baltimore location services our food service campus. We partner with customers like Raising Cane's, Royal Farms, and Nando's. And because so much of our operation happens on site, anything that helps make commuting easier and more reliable really matters to our team. And as part of our growth, we are expanding into retail we are opening a retail campus in Hanover, Maryland, and that is expected to open sometime in April. So we have participated in the Commuter Choice program for many years. It was actually already in place when I joined, and that was back when we were actually using paper tickets. So we've come a long way. When I came on in 2020, part of my role was taking ownership of the day-to-day pieces. So just making sure employees knew the benefit existed, understood how to enroll, and had access to the right resources through Commuter Choice Maryland. And honestly, one of the reasons it works so well is because it isn't just a policy that we mention once and move on. We keep it visible. We talk about it during onboarding. We include it in reminders, and we make it easy for employees to ask questions and get signed up. We also align it with our attendance expectations. So employees who stay in good standing each month are eligible for the transit pass. The commuter benefit is very widely used at Holly. So we distribute well over 100 passes each month. And from an HR standpoint, we've seen a few really good practical benefits. One is attendance and reliability. What we found that when employees have a consistent, supported way to get to work, we see fewer last minute transportation issues and more predictable attendance. Another is recruitment and retention. This is a real tangible benefit for hourly on-site roles. So being able to tell candidates we can help with your commute removes a barrier and helps us stay competitive. And then there's also an operational benefit. It helps reduce parking. Parking is in high demand over at Holly. So anytime we can support employees choosing transit, it takes pressure off of parking and makes things a little easier day to day. And from an admin standpoint, moving to the electronic passes through Charm Pass really simplified things for us. It's easy to manage, it's much easier to distribute, and it cuts down on the back and forth that used to come with the paper tickets way back. And I will say the team has been really easy to work with. If we need to add an employee or if someone's having trouble accessing their pass, they're extremely responsive and always happy to help resolve any issues quickly. And then last, on the financial side, the tax credit has been really helpful. It's helped offset some of the costs of providing the benefit and reduce our tax liability. And for us, it reinforces that commuter benefits can be both great for not only our employees, but also for our business. So overall, our experience has been that the program is well used. It supports our workforce in a very practical way, and it's helped us in areas that matter to employers: attendance and reliability, recruiting and retention, and even the day-to-day operations like parking. So that is a snapshot from Holly Poultry. I thank you for your time, and I'm happy to answer any questions, or please feel free to reach out to me directly.
Thank you so much, Erin, for just sharing your experience working with us and the different benefits that Holy Poultry provides, and also the benefit of using the tax credit. So thank you so much again, Erin. And we will share Erin's contact information as well if you had any questions for her. Thank you so much. And moving on to more of our tax credit savings. So I wanted to give a quick overview of first the Federal Transportation Fringe Benefit. So the IRS allows employers to offer tax-free commuter benefits for transit, van pool, and qualified commuter-related parking. And this could be in different forms. This could be a pre-tax deduction, an employer-provided subsidy, or both. Currently, the limits change every year, but for 2026, they're going to be $340 per month per employee. So that is one benefit you can take advantage of for your company, and you could decide what really works best for your company. So you can do a mix of different things. The next slide, please. And now we're going to move on to the Maryland Commuter Tax Credit. So I am going to share a resource that you can utilize, which is our brochure. It is a quick snapshot of the Maryland Commuter Tax Credit, and it gives you more detail of the different programs that qualify. If you want to go to the next slide. I just wanted to show a quick overview of the different programs you can utilize. So if you're an employer and you're providing a subsidy, like transit, van pool, a guaranteed ride home program, cash in lieu of parking, telework, carpool, active transportation, or multimodal commuter last mile connections. You can take advantage of this tax credit, and we'll go into more detail in the further slides. If you want to go to the next slide. So like I said before, this is a tax credit that is available to Maryland employers. You can receive up to 50% of the cost incurred of the subsidy you're providing. So that quick snapshot and that resource I sent in the chat. Let's say you're an employer and you're providing a $100 transit subsidy. 50% of that cost can go back to you in tax credit savings. So you can apply for a tax credit, and we're going to do a quick overview of how that application process works. So the next slide, please. You can claim your tax credit in 3 easy steps. The first step is to just gather the necessary information to complete the application. So that would include your business information, the types of commuter subsidies provided by your business, and the subsidy amounts. So of course, you do have to have that record on file to show proof of documentation. And then your next step is going to be completing the application form. So that lives on onestop.maryland.gov. It's a quick process. It takes around 10 to 15 minutes to apply. And then lastly, I just wanted to note that the third step is really important, which is to file your certificate of approval with the appropriate Maryland business form. So depending on if you are a nonprofit or a for-profit business, you just have to remember to file that form. So I just wanted to do a quick call out on that because we get a lot of questions from our employers about that last step. So next slide, please. We are going to watch a quick clip of the Maryland Commuter Tax Credit video.
What can the Maryland Commuter Tax Credit do for you? It can help your employees get to work stress-free, help you attract and retain talent, and improve your business's bottom line. The Maryland Commuter Tax Credit helps employers connect their employees to a variety of transportation options. Maryland businesses and nonprofits can save up to 50% of qualifying commuting costs, or up to $100 per employee per month. The tax credit has expanded to include new options such as telework, carpool, active transportation, and multimodal commuter last-mile connections. Along with other employer-funded programs, these new options are great incentives for commuters to use alternative transportation. To qualify, travel must meet the purpose of transporting employees from home to work in Maryland during the weekday between 5 a.m. and 7 p.m. Visit commuterchoicemaryland.com/MD Commuter Tax Credit or email us at commuterchoice@mdot.maryland.gov to learn more. You can also connect with us on LinkedIn and Facebook.
Yeah, so that is just a quick video
What can the
that is a
Maryland
quick overview of our tax credit and how it works. And now we're going to go into a deep dive of what the application process looks like. So on the next slide, you are going to see what it looks like on the One Stop portal. So it's first going to show you that tax credit registration. And when you scroll down to the next slide, please. You would select apply online, and then it's going to open up the application form. So in the next slide, you're going to see section 1, which is really reliant on the business information. So you're going to fill out first your taxable period. That is usually the tax beginning date and end date. So for this year, it would be January 1st, 2026 if you're filing for benefits for last year, and then it would end for the year's end date, so December 31st, 2026. Number 2, I wanted to just call out is when your commuter benefit was paid. So most businesses file for commuter benefits that were paid for the previous year. So for 2026, it would be for 2025. And then another call out I wanted to note is that if you're a business that has been providing a bike subsidy, for example, that qualifies for active transportation or transit, for example, for the past couple of years, and you just heard about the tax credit, you can actually back file and claim that tax credit for up to 3 years prior. So that's just something I want to mention because some businesses are actually doing the work already, and they should get credit for those savings. So that was like one call out I want to mention. The next slide, please. Next, we get into the employer information for the tax credit application. So as your business, of course, you would fill out that necessary information, especially the federal employer identification number for your taxes. So different entities apply for employers. It could be entities responsible for taxes for the employer, for example, but it's also easy for HR people to do it as well. And I'm happy to help with that. But this is the next section of the application form. And one part of this as well is listing if you're a facility in the state of Maryland. And if you have several facilities across the state, because we do work with employers across all of Maryland. So next slide, please. And then now we're going to talk about the different programs that qualify. So like I said in that brochure, you can reference transit is qualified, van pool, carpool, telework, active transportation. So examples of that could be bicycle memberships, maintenance as well, and cash and move parking, last mile connections, and an employer-sponsored guaranteed ride home program. So next slide, please. And now we're going to talk about the different aspects of filling out the application form and the more detailed section of it. So this snapshot is an example of the van pool subsidy if it's provided. So you would have to fill out that information, like more details on the provider and how many van pool vehicles are participating and the number of employees. So like I said before, this is kind of what it looks like. Some employers actually take advantage of multiple subsidies. So some employers provide a telework subsidy as well as a van pool subsidy. So for this section, you would just have to fill out those details. The next slide, please. And this section is going to be for every application. So like I said before, you would have to make sure you had the information for each month, the number of employees participating, and the amount of the tax credit you are claiming. So the maximum you can get is $100 per employee per month. And it's equivalent to 50% of the monthly subsidy paid. So one example would be an employer, let's say, is providing a $200 subsidy for their staff to use transit. You would get $100 in credit for that one employee. If another employer, let's say, was providing a $300 subsidy, the max you could still get is $100, not $150. So that's just like one clarification I want to give. But I just wanted to call out that you would just have to make sure you knew how many employees were participating per month. The next slide, please. And then once you fill out all that information, you will get this notification that you have successfully submitted your application form. And then the next slide. Once that's been approved by our Commuter Choice Maryland team, you will receive an email with that subject line, Maryland Commuter Tax Credit registration has been approved. And that will be coming from the One Stop Portal email address and not the Commuter Choice Maryland email address. That's just one call I wanted to say because I think some people look for the Commuter Choice Maryland email address. So we wanted to mention that as well. Next slide, please. So now we're going to go into the different tax credit savings we have from our employer partners and kind of what that looks like and the different demographics they have. So employer A is from Montgomery County. Their employer size is around 10,000 employees in the media and entertainment industry, and they provide a transit subsidy. So they've been able to save over $6,000 in savings through the tax credit. Another employer partner that we have is also in Montgomery County with a smaller size, around 50 employees in the accounting industry, and their subsidy is cash and move parking, and they've been able to save around $3,000. And then our third employer partner which we have is a smaller size as well, and their industry is in the landscaping service, and they provide a telework subsidy. So they've been able to save 5 grand. So it's a really great way, a snapshot to see of how our different employer partners utilize different commuter subsidies and the amount of savings they have been able to save. The next slide is just another quick snapshot of the Maryland Commuter Tax Credit in comparison to the Federal Transportation Fringe Benefit and what is eligible for both or either. So I just wanted to give a quick call out to the ones that are provided as a pre-tax deduction or an employer paid subsidy or both. So the ones that would be qualified for both are transit, commuter related parking, and van pool. For commuter related parking for the Maryland Commuter Tax Credit, however, it's going to be parking related to carpooling, and that has to be a subsidy provided by the employer. And the other two benefits, cash in lieu of parking and telework, that's only going to be for the Maryland Commuter Tax Credit. And again, for anything for the Maryland Commuter Tax Credit, that has to be a subsidy paid out by the employer. So this is one great resource that we have to kind of give our employers a quick snapshot of what they can utilize. The next slide, please. This is going to be an employer testimonial that we have for OfficeSense. They've been able to take advantage of our tax credit. They've been a tax credit participant for several years. And we just want to mention how they utilize our program, and they said how easy it is to apply for the tax credit. It's a great program for them to take advantage of. Next slide, please. And we have one more incentive for our Baltimore area employers that we wanted to give attention to. Next slide. And it's going to be our new FareShare program. So employers in the greater Baltimore region that have access to MTA services like the local link, transit, commuter bus, and the MARC train can receive up to $3,000 to purchase transit passes. If you're interested in this program or if you have any questions, you can let us know. And if you want to join, you can sign up through the MTA Charm Pass email address. You'll fill out a questionnaire, and then they'll be able to verify you as an employer and help you get set up. So with that, you compare that with the tax credit savings. So the next slide, please. So now we're going to move on to another employer experience spotlight, which is the Dwyer Workforce Development. They utilize the FareShare Bus Pass program, which is another way their scholars have been able to get to meet their transportation needs to get to work. So next slide, please. And then another employer experience we have as well is with the University of Maryland, Baltimore Parking and Transportation Services. They've been able to utilize the FareShare program to distribute MTA passes. So that's another great example of utilizing the Charm Pass FareShare program. Next slide, please. So after hearing about the different commuter benefits, we were curious to see which benefit, especially for our employers on the call, do you think your employees would be most interested in? So we're going to have a poll that appears on the screen. First, we have transit. Another example we have is van pool, carpool, telework, active transportation, cash in lieu of parking, last mile connections, and guaranteed ride home. So for our employers on the call, please answer the poll once it appears on your screen. And you can also answer in the chat as well. So far, it looks like we're getting a mix of different responses from our participants on the webinar. We have transit leading the way. We also have telework too. And we have Next, cash in lieu of parking. It looks like last mile connections and van pool and carpool are also tied as well. So it's a mixed bag of different commuter benefits. So this is really great to see that a lot of our employers on the call are interested in different commuter benefits programs. And it looks like too, it's not just telework, since a lot of us have had different types of work environments or work schedules. So it's really great to see the different commuter benefits that people are interested in. And of course, if you want to get further information, we can work with you to get you started on those different benefits. Next slide, please. So now we are at the question and answer portion of our webinar where we can review any questions related to the content of today's session. So we encourage everyone to fill out their questions in the chat or the Q&A box. And it looks like earlier we had a question about what's included for the telework subsidy for the commuter tax credit. And thank you, Maddie, for helping answer that. I'll just give a quick overview. For telework, that would be anything related to the maintenance of the telework costs. So that could be like prorated costs for internet, computer equipment costs, telephone costs, and more. And of course, you can reference the brochure if you had questions on that. Can the credit be taken only on the corporate tax return or any other tax return? That is a specific tax credit information, and I can get back to you on that, but I believe it is through your typical standard business tax return, so the corporate one, I believe, but I can double check with our team at the comptroller's office and let you know. Usually the people who do file for the tax credit, it's really, from my experience, it has been employers, the tax credit prepares for an employer or their HR team. I meant, can the tax credit be taken against sales tax or withholding tax? I know that's a specific tax question, and I can get back to you on that. Since I am not a tax preparer, but I know from my experience, every business who has done it, usually the person who's filing for it is familiar with filing for their business taxes, if that makes sense. Thank you for your question, and I will get back to you for that information. Any other questions related to the tax credit? While I see if there's any other questions, I just also wanted to give another call out to how if you have been providing a subsidy, you can of course still take advantage of the tax credit 3 years prior. This is really great because a lot of our employer partners actually have had active transportation subsidies, for example, or like transit subsidies that they've been providing for their staff. So that was just something that I wanted to mention since a lot of employers are also not aware of that as well. And then if anyone has any questions, please feel free to email us. And if you want me to help you walk through the application, I am more than happy to do that. We really want to encourage businesses to take advantage of this. And if you're interested in learning more about our Commuter Choice Maryland program for our employers on the call, it is free to sign up for Employer Partner Program. You can work with us directly. We can help you get started on any of these commuter benefits that you're interested in. For any commuters on the call, if you're interested in learning about different commute options and earning rewards, you can tune in to our program as well. And then we wanted to invite everyone to our next webinar. It's going to be on active transportation, and that's going to be on May 7th. So please hold the date if you're interested. And the next slide. It looks like we have another question in the chat that I just wanted to give a call out to. I believe the timing for the applicable tax credit was for travel early morning until 7 p.m. Is that correct? And has there been consideration of extending the timing to late hours? I know right now it is for commutes that take place between 5 a.m. to 7 p.m. That is correct, Jennifer. And has there been consideration? We can talk to our team to see if there's been consideration to extend the timing to late hours. Currently it is 5 a.m. to 7 p.m., but if it does open up to um, more hours, or if it does become a case by case scenario, I can let you know. And you can let me know if there's like an employer you're working with, or if you are an employer that has different work hours to see. But that currently is the status of the tax credits for commutes between 5 a.m. and 7 p.m. Thank you for your question. And the next slide, I just wanted to give a call out to a new program that we have for businesses along the Maryland 295 corridor. That's going to be between Nursery Road and I-95. If you're an employer on the call within this corridor and you're interested in, expanding your commuter benefits program and working with us, we do want to invite you to join our pilot program. You can learn more by scanning the QR code. And you can work with us directly on really expanding your commuter benefits programs. We really wanted to help congestion, as everyone knows, with the FSK bridge collapse in the area. It's been very congested. So we want to see how we can focus on this area and work with employers. So we welcome you to join us. The next slide, please. And I see another question in the chat that I just wanted to address. It is, what type of documentation is audited as part of the employer's tax credit claim? Does this mean payroll timesheet records are reviewed? Yeah, so like I said, you do have to provide documentation to prove that you have X amount of employees taking advantage of X amount of subsidies per calendar year that you're applying the tax credit for. So you do need to provide that documentation. So it could be in the form of payroll timesheets, as long as you have that documentation that you can show the comptroller's office. Another question, do you think the state of Maryland living arrangement is suitable for public transportation and carpooling? I think it just depends on if you're referring to public transportation and carpooling. I think it depends on accessibility and where your business is located. Um, I was just gonna mention that this tax credit is unique for the state of Maryland, so it's great for employers who are providing a subsidy. But yes, it really just depends on your business and where it's located for accessibility. Thank you, everyone, for all of your great questions. Of course, if you have more questions, you can email us at commuterchoice@mdot.maryland.gov. You can also call us as well. And please visit our website to learn more information about any upcoming events we have, any new webinars, commuter programs, and incentives that are available. So I just want to say thank you, everyone, for joining us. I know we are a little bit early on time, but I can save everyone some time and give them a couple minutes back. And again, if you have any questions on the tax credit, or if you just want to learn more information about it, please feel free to email us. We can give you more information on it. And if you are interested in applying as well, we can help you walk through the application. So we just want to make it as easy as possible for you to save some money and also reap the benefits of promoting commuter benefits for your staff. So thank you again, everyone. And I hope everyone has a great Thursday.